Tonight, we are not opening internet rumors, we are not reading fake stories. We are opening real government files, military reports, NASA mission records, FBI documents, Air Force investigations, White House discussions, thousands of pages, all written by officials, scientists, pilots, astronauts, military officers. For decades, people around the world reported strange things in the sky. Bright objects, silent lights, flying discs, glowing fireballs. Some sightings were explained, some were mistakes, but others remained unsolved. And that is what makes these files so fascinating. Tonight, we travel back in time, from World War II to the Cold War to the moon missions. This is Declassified, the UFO Files, Part 1, 1945 to 1970. And every story you're about to hear came from real official documents, so let's begin. The year is 1945. World War II is reaching its final days. Night skies over Europe are filled with bombers, fighter planes, explosions, and fear. American pilots fly dangerous missions through darkness. Then something strange appears. Pilots begin seeing glowing balls of light beside their aircraft. Some are orange, some are white, some blink, some silently follow the planes. The pilots nickname them Foo Fighters. Not the music band, these were mysterious lights seen during the war. The strange objects sometimes moved beside aircraft for several minutes. Sometimes they suddenly disappeared. Sometimes they accelerated too fast for normal planes. At first, American pilots feared the lights were secret German weapons, a terrifying new technology. But then something unexpected happens. German pilots also reported seeing similar objects too. Now both sides are confused, because if neither side controls the objects, then what are they? Military reports describe glowing spheres, bright discs, silent lights, fast-moving objects. Some pilots say the lights followed them through clouds. Others claim the objects reacted to aircraft movements. Investigators search for explanations, maybe electrical phenomena, maybe stress from combat, maybe enemy experiments. But no single explanation solves every report. And after the war finally ends, the mystery does not disappear. Instead, it spreads. After World War II, the world changed. The Cold War began. America and the Soviet Union became enemies and began racing to build powerful weapons and advanced aircraft. Fear spreads everywhere. Nuclear bombs, secret weapons, espionage, advanced aircraft experiments. Then suddenly, strange reports begin exploding across America. Pilots report unknown objects. Citizens stare at mysterious lights. Radar operators track strange targets. Police officers write reports. Newspapers give the objects a famous new name: flying saucers. Soon the sightings become impossible for the government to ignore, so it became concerned, not because of aliens, but because officials feared secret enemy technology. They are thinking about national security. Could the Soviet Union be testing advanced aircraft? Could America's enemies be spying on military bases? Could enemy spy technology be flying above America? The Air Force begins collecting reports from around the country. Pilots were ordered to document unknown objects carefully. Every report included altitude, weather, witness, testimony, object shape, location, movement, speed, direction. And again the same words appeared: bright, circular, silent, fast. Most importantly, unidentified. Not confirmed alien, not proven spacecraft, simply unidentified. That detail matters, because even the government does not know exactly what people are seeing. Now we arrive at one of the most famous UFO mysteries of the early Cold War. The year is 1948, location, Sandia Base, New Mexico, one of America's most secret military areas. Nuclear weapons research happens here. Security is extremely strict. Then one night, a guard looked into the sky. A bright green object streaked overhead. Too fast, too low, too silent, then it vanished. Soon more witnesses began reporting terrifying green fireballs streaking across the sky. These objects did not behave like normal meteors. Some appeared unusually low, others seemed controlled. Some witnesses even claimed the objects changed direction. Military guards reported them, scientists reported them, pilots reported them. The sightings became so frequent that official investigations began. The military realized this was not a single event. It was happening repeatedly. Over the next 2 years, hundreds of sightings were documented. Witnesses described glowing green fireballs, bright discs, silent objects, lights that suddenly changed direction, objects that appeared to explode. These were not random stories from tabloids. The reports came from people trained to observe carefully. The military gave the objects a scientific name: anomalous luminous phenomena. Investigators desperately searched for answers. Maybe meteors, maybe secret aircraft, maybe atmospheric effects, but no explanation fully solved the mystery. And because the sightings happened near nuclear facilities, government concern grew much stronger. Some officials quietly began asking frightening questions. Why were strange objects appearing near atomic research centers? Was another country spying on America? Or was something even stranger happening? Nobody knew. That same year, as Cold War tensions rise, American military crews overseas begin reporting strange aerial encounters. American bomber crews flying near Holland see something unusual. The aircraft crews are flying at nearly 30,000 feet. Then they notice another object nearby. At first, it behaves like a normal aircraft. Then suddenly, the object accelerates upward at incredible speed, far faster than aircraft technology of that time. The crew watches in shock. Within moments, witnesses say its performance seemed beyond known aircraft technology of that time. Military investigators later study the report carefully, but they cannot identify the aircraft. And during the Cold War, that uncertainty creates fear, because every unknown object raises dangerous questions. Could America's enemies already possess advanced technology? A secret military project? Or was something else moving through the skies above Europe? Later that same year, Air Force intelligence officers created a secret internal report. Inside the document, officials admit something important. Too many sightings are being reported to simply dismiss them. One mysterious object reportedly hovered above Neubiberg Air Base for nearly 30 minutes. Witnesses from multiple countries report similar flying objects. Then the report says something extraordinary. Some officials believe the technology involved may be beyond known aviation capabilities of that period. The document even references Sweden. Swedish investigators reported that some scientists were considering whether unknown technology could be responsible. Then comes one of the strangest stories. A witness claimed to see an object crash into a lake. Divers are later sent underwater to investigate. They discover unusual marks on the lake floor, but no craft is recovered. No final explanation is confirmed, and once again, another mystery remains unsolved. For the public, these stories sound unbelievable, but inside government offices, the reports continue piling higher. July 24th, 1949, SOCORRO, New Mexico. Another strange object crosses the night sky. Witnesses describe a giant glowing green fireball moving overhead. The object shines brilliantly before disappearing into darkness. This time, investigators discover something physical: tiny copper particles scattered across the area. Real material. Scientists carefully collect samples from rooftops, roads, open fields. Laboratories begin testing the strange residue. Researchers are surprised. Normal meteors usually contain iron and nickel, not unusual copper particles. Some scientists suspect an unknown object may have broken apart high above the desert. But investigators still cannot reach a final conclusion. Their report carefully states, hazardous to draw any definite conclusion, meaning, even after scientific investigation, they still do not fully understand what happened. Now the story reaches a breaking point. The year is 1952. America becomes obsessed with UFOs. Sightings explode across the country. Phone lines flood with calls. Radar operators track strange targets. Pilots report unknown lights. Citizens gather outside at night staring into the sky, searching for flying saucers. The government demands answers. Air Force officials begin investigating. Why sightings are increasing so rapidly? Some believe public excitement is creating mass hysteria. Others fear advanced Soviet technology. But even military officials admit the mystery is difficult. General John Samford later describes the situation as a complete enigma, an unsolved mystery. Also, General John Samford gives one of the most famous statements in UFO history. He says, credible observers are reporting the incredible, meaning the witnesses themselves are trusted. The mystery lies in what they saw, not in the people reporting it. That statement shocks the public because now even the Air Force admits something unusual is happening. By 1955, the Cold War has made the world extremely tense. The Cold War grows darker. America and the Soviet Union fear each other deeply. Every strange object in the sky becomes a possible military threat. Every radar signal, every unknown aircraft, every strange light in the sky could signal danger. Then another intelligence report appears, this time involving the Soviet region near the Caucasus Mountains. Witnesses near the Caucasus region describe a strange object rising unnaturally into the sky. Its movements do not appear normal. Officials again ask frightening questions. Was it secret enemy technology, an experimental aircraft, or something completely unknown? No final answer is discovered, and the fear continues growing. The year is 1958. In Detroit, Michigan, a young man notices something strange in the sky. A circular object, not a plane, not a balloon, on top of it. He later describes seeing a crystal-type dome. The object reflects sunlight while moving silently northward. The witness tries contacting the Air Force. No response, so he contacts the FBI instead. Eventually, the FBI officially documents the case and forwards it to the Air Force. That detail matters. Authorities took these reports seriously enough to officially record them. Because during the Cold War, anything unusual in American skies could represent a national security threat. Now the mystery leaves Earth. The year is 1962. Human beings have finally entered space. Astronaut John Glenn becomes the first American to orbit Earth. Inside his tiny Mercury capsule, he floats alone above the planet. Glenn looks outside into darkness. Then suddenly he notices glowing particles floating around the spacecraft. Hundreds of tiny sparkling lights, like insects floating through space. He calls them fireflies. The lights drift silently beside the capsule. Some flash brightly, others slowly vanish into darkness. At first, nobody understands what they are. Could they be space dust? Frozen fuel? Something unknown? Years later, NASA concludes the glowing objects were most likely tiny ice particles released from the spacecraft. Sunlight reflected off them brightly, but in that moment, for Glenn, watching glowing lights surround his spacecraft high above Earth, the sight feels mysterious and unforgettable. John Glenn was not alone. Later that same year, other astronauts soon report similar experiences. Astronaut Scott Carpenter experiences something similar while orbiting Earth. He notices strange white particles floating outside his spacecraft. He describes them as snowflakes. Some drift slowly, others appear to move rapidly. The tiny objects sparkle brilliantly in sunlight. Scientists later explain the effect as frozen material combined with sunlight reflections and relative motion. But from Carpenter's point of view, the objects appear deeply mysterious, especially in the silence of space. Later that same year, astronaut Wally Schirra launches aboard Sigma 7. Schirra is calm, professional, a highly trained test pilot, not someone easily frightened. But during orbit, he also notices strange reflective objects outside the spacecraft. Some flash brightly, others drift silently. Later, Schirra describes them as particles, and even lathe shavings, meaning tiny metal fragments. Then something even stranger happens. A sudden burst of bright light flashes across the spacecraft window. Schirra cannot immediately explain it. Later, he suspects it may have been sunlight appearing during orbital sunset, but once again, an astronaut encounters something unusual in space. The year is 1963. NASA grows more confident in spaceflight. But strange sightings continue. Astronaut Gordon Cooper launches aboard Faith 7. During orbit, he notices glowing particles floating around the spacecraft. Just like John Glenn, Cooper also calls them fireflies. Some glow brilliantly white, others appear greenish. As sunlight strikes them, they become even brighter. Again and again, astronauts observe strange lights and particles in space. NASA later explains the objects as frozen condensation reflecting sunlight. But for astronauts floating alone above Earth, the glowing particles feel both beautiful and mysterious, because space is still a new frontier, and nobody fully understands everything waiting out there. Then comes one of the most surprising government documents. The year is 1963. Inside the executive office of the president, a memorandum appears titled, "Thoughts on the Space Alien Race Question." The document does not claim aliens exist, but it proves something important. The White House is officially discussing what might happen if intelligent alien life were ever discovered. The memo asks difficult questions. Would people panic? How would religions react? How should governments respond? During the space age, humanity had begun seriously wondering, are we truly alone in the universe? Now we arrive at one of NASA's most famous space mysteries, December 1965. Gemini 7 is orbiting Earth. Inside the spacecraft are astronauts Frank Borman and Jim Lovell. Both are experienced military pilots. Both remain calm under pressure. Then suddenly, Borman radios mission control. His voice sounds serious. He says, "We have a bogey at 10 o'clock high in military aviation." A bogey means an unidentified object. Mission control immediately becomes alert. The astronauts describe seeing glowing particles drifting nearby. Jim Lovell later reports a brilliant object surrounded by countless particles. The conversation quickly becomes famous around the world. For years, UFO researchers call it one of NASA's greatest mysteries. But NASA later concludes the astronauts were most likely observing the Titan booster rocket and nearby debris reflecting sunlight. Even today, people still debate exactly what they saw. July 1969. Humanity attempts its greatest journey. Apollo 11 travels toward the moon carrying Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins. As the spacecraft moves deeper into space, Buzz Aldrin notices something strange outside. The astronauts carefully study the object through a telescope. At first, they believe it might be the separated Saturn rocket stage, but they are not completely certain. Imagine this moment. You are farther from Earth than any humans before you. Outside the spacecraft is endless blackness, and beside you, something bright drifts silently through deep space. What would you do? Here, the crew stays focused on the moon mission, but the mysterious sighting becomes another strange story from humanity's first journey beyond Earth. During the long journey to the moon, Buzz Aldrin experiences something even stranger. The cabin lights are turned off. The astronauts are trying to sleep. Space is silent. Then suddenly, Aldrin begins seeing flashes of light, tiny bursts appearing every few minutes inside the darkness. Other astronauts on later missions report similar experiences. At first, nobody understands the cause. Years later, scientists discover the likely explanation. High-energy cosmic rays traveling through space can strike the human retina and create visible flashes. In other words, the astronauts were not seeing external objects. Their own eyes were reacting to space radiation. But during the mission for the crew, it feels like another mystery hiding in deep space, because no astronaut had ever experienced anything like it before. After leaving the moon, Apollo 11 begins its long journey home. Then the astronauts notice another unusual light. Buzz Aldrin later describes a fairly bright light source. The crew suspects it may have been a laser or sunlight reflection, but they cannot fully confirm it. Even after humanity's greatest mission, strange sightings continue following astronauts through space. Only months after Apollo 11, Apollo 12 travels toward the moon. Astronaut Alan Bean looks through the spacecraft telescope. Outside the window, he notices strange glowing lights drifting through darkness. Bean jokes that the lights look like they are escaping the moon. Some appear to move away from the spacecraft. Others vanish among the stars. NASA later concludes the glowing objects were most likely tiny ice particles, spacecraft debris, sunlight reflections, but to the astronauts watching silent, glowing objects drift above the moon, the experience feels surreal, almost dreamlike. Later during Apollo 12, astronaut Pete Conrad notices floating debris around the spacecraft. The objects become visible when illuminated by tracking lights. Then suddenly, the lights stop working. The floating objects vanish back into darkness. NASA later concludes the objects were probably spacecraft debris, but the images captured during the mission later become famous among UFO researchers, because once again astronauts witnessed something unusual while exploring the unknown. Several Apollo 12 photographs later attract enormous attention. The images show glowing lights above the moon's horizon. Some photographs contain multiple glowing points. Researchers later highlight the objects using yellow boxes to help viewers locate them. NASA explains the markings are only visual guides. Experts believe the glowing spots were most likely caused by cosmic rays, dust, lens reflections, photographic effects. But for many people, the images still look mysterious, because against the dark lunar sky, the glowing lights appear strange and unnatural. By the end of the 1960s, a pattern has clearly emerged. Across decades, different people in different places keep reporting similar things: pilots, astronauts, military guards, scientists, radar operators, different witnesses, different locations, different years. Yet the same descriptions return again and again: bright, circular, silent, fast, unidentified. Does that prove aliens? No, but it proves something else. Governments took these reports seriously. NASA studied them, the military tracked them, the FBI documented them, scientists investigated them, and many cases remained unsolved. That is the real mystery. So what did all these people really see? Secret military technology, Cold War experiments, meteors, space debris, cosmic radiation, optical illusions, or something humanity still does not fully understand? Most scientists believe many sightings have logical explanations. NASA has never confirmed evidence of alien spacecraft, but these stories remain fascinating for one important reason. The witnesses were highly trained professionals: pilots, astronauts, scientists, military officers, people trained to observe carefully. And somewhere tonight, someone may still be looking into the sky, seeing something strange, and beginning another report. Another file, another mystery. For thousands of years, humanity has stared into darkness, asking whether we are alone. And even after reaching space itself, those questions never disappeared, because space is enormous, dark, silent, and still full of mysteries. Our future generations may someday read and ask, what really happened? So now I want to hear from you. What do you think these sightings were? Secret military projects, natural phenomena, Cold War experiments, or something beyond human understanding? Tell me your theories in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep journey into real government UFO files, where we open real government files, separate fact from fiction, and explore mysteries hidden in history, subscribe to Mysteries Codex for more mysteries from space, history, and the unknown, because next time we open another forgotten file, another hidden mystery, another story buried in history. Until then, keep looking up, because sometimes the truth may still be out there.